I have been widely attacked because I will defend and uphold the role played by the black minister Louis Farrakhan.
Oh, yes. Everyone, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the drama sphere lately, but it turns out that Caleb Maupin and Thought Slime have been going a little bit back and forth. Not really, to be honest, though. I mean, all Thought Slime did was he made a video where he was kind of trying to call out transphobia and class reductionism and explain those things, but Caleb took the whole thing as a personal attack and made this 27-minute little opus that we see before us. So, yeah. We're going to take a look. We're going to explore the ideas therein and see what we come out with on the other side.
Come on, you can't tell if they're wearing clothes or what. What's your name?
Jessica.
Jessica, did you mean to get this money?
No, they threw me in.
Yeah! Did you get dragged in the mud?
No, I walked in.
Hey folks, so it's recently come to my attention that a certain internet pseudo-leftist personality who calls himself Thought Slime has decided to target Jyoti Brar, a prominent communist leader, and myself. The reason he's decided to go after us is because he disapproves of something that Jyoti Brar said in an interview I did with her 9 months ago.
I believe the Woodstock clip was the mudslinging or something to that effect. The metaphors, I'm not entirely sure. But let's return to the bunker.
Material analysis is good for a lot of things. It can help you build a bridge or manage an economy. It can't tell you whether a poem is good. I'm not saying you're a bad person or a bad leftist, necessarily.
Sure.
Before you see nazbol ghoul Caleb Maupin talking to Jyoti Brar of the Communist Party of Great Britain. And what she's saying sucks.
Thought Slime individual objected to was not about whether transgender people should be beaten up and killed. It wasn't about whether they should face discrimination in hiring. It wasn't about whether their families should reject them. It wasn't about any of that. It was about transgender ideology. And honestly, I do not know enough about this topic. I am not well informed enough about the issue of transgender ideology to make a comment on it. So I let Jyoti Brar, a prominent British communist who I respect deeply, give her opinion. And this Thought Slime objects to her opinion.
Ooh. Okay. Two things. First thing, if you don't know enough about it, why do you take umbrage with any of this? Because technically, shouldn't you just be like, I don't know whether or not Thought Slime's call out is fair or correct or wrong, because I don't know. Second thing, why don't you fucking learn? You've got a platform. You were about to do a video on this subject. Why just do 2 seconds of research? Like just look this shit up, and then you can be like, okay, well, yeah, now I've learned. And actually, bonus third thing, while we're here, and we can just talk about this for 2 quick seconds. Why do you keep using the word ideology? That's very problematic. That plays into this whole thing, you know, that she was trying to define it as ideology. All right, so someone's gender identity does not just come across as ideology.
The thing is, I don't view the transgender issue as an abstract ideological question. I view it as an issue of human rights and an issue of affecting people's lives. And this is starting to point to the real difference between me and this Thought Slime individual and a lot of people that are out to malign and slander legitimate anti-imperialists, Marxists, and activists. The likes of Mr. Thought Slime try to portray it as if you must be a supporter of imperialism if you are to advocate against the oppression of transgender people. And furthermore, whether what Jyoti Brar said about the ideology being promoted by many transgender activists today is correct or not.
Again, learn, then. Learn. You're making a video on the subject. This is a 27-minute video that you've edited afterwards. Learn. Fuck.
Really don't have the knowledge. I've heard people from both sides of the issue talk, and they both say things that are very persuasive. I just don't know enough about it. However,
there's no debate to be had here. Can we take a quick look? This is her website, by the way. This is the Communist Party of Great Britain, the Marxist-Leninists. They are not, he keeps saying prominent. This is not prominent. They are a fringe sect. I'm sure everyone here knows Ben Burgess. Ben Burgess, because me and him were having a bit of a dialogue back and forth. He wanted to look into this. He's like, this is a fringe sect of a fringe sect. Okay, no one worth their salt would ever turn towards, her and say, well, yeah, she's definitely a prominent, respectable member of the Communist Party. But anyways, The reactionary nightmare of gender fluidity. We do not advocate, and we cannot allow the bourgeoisie to impose this divisive ideology upon us. Why are we having this debate? I would like to say that I agree with Motion 8. It's quite clear that this is an issue which is causing genuine confusion, not only in our party, but our party is a great reflection of society. And if so, it is confusing us. And you can be sure that there's a far greater confusion outside of the ranks. And that, if you like, this is why we are having this debate. I am sympathetic with the arguments put forward by those opposed to Motion 8, and we clearly do need to have this debate. Clearly, some people have taken to identity politics, IDPOL, as a very central part of political discourse. People in our schools, people in society, in every mainstream paper you turn to, a mere reference to gender identity as an IDPOL without expressing an opinion is enough to make some people incandescent with rage. Does the material reality exist? I do think that it is important that all our discussions are rooted in material reality. And we have to ask ourselves, do we think that a material reality exists? Because there is the question, a fundamental question of philosophy, which underlies everything. It's why dialectics is so very powerful. I don't want to go into it, but it wasn't me who invented dialectics. I'm a fervent adherent of it. It was the revolutionary teachings of Karl Marx. Ooh, wow. Bourgeois and proletarian politics. But we are in a party of a different kind. What is the purpose of internal party discourse? What is the purpose of debate? What is the purpose of democratic centralism? You know, all of this, I'm sorry, it's garbage. Not only is it garbage, by the way, it has no value in terms of science. If we want to talk about the material conditions, if we want to talk about what is ideological and what is not, I'm pretty sure that people who, are experiencing gender dysphoria are experiencing that. They're not just thinking about it. It's not like people are choosing. It's not like this is philosophical. Oh, what is the great would you apply this kind of logic to homosexuals? Would you say that, well, I don't believe homosexuals can really determine whether or not they're born homosexual? Is there an ideal? What is the ideological determinants? What is the material determinants of whether or not they actually know that they were born gay? You'd be like, no, people are naturally born gay. Like that's just the way it is. Okay, people are born the way they're born. You don't have to go into the what is the ideological philosophical understanding of these premises, right? Not to mention, if you want to actually understand this stuff, there is now numerous studies. This is something that is well documented within the realm of neuropsychology. Yes, and I'm sure neuropsychologists have way deeper understandings of this kind of topics than you. But if you want to look into it, do so. It's fascinating stuff, okay? It's absolutely fascinating stuff. If you go into it and you look into neuropsychology, if you look into it, we have actual CAT scans of people in certain areas of the brain which are activated, which are responses to whether or not they feel certain different kinds of gender identities. So yes, we can actually demonstrate with peer-reviewed scientific studies, as well as using all kinds of different data and registries, whether or not people actually experience gender dysphoria, whether or not they experience being born into different bodies, things of this nature. She's a horrifyingly terrible TERF. It does not take away from the fact that she does good work. Now, this argument and line of argumentation is going to be used, all right, is going to be used quite a bit by him. It's going to get much worse. You have not seen the end of the idea that, well, bad people can do great things. It's going to be taken to its extremes.
And this is at the root of one of the greatest crimes that this internet milieu, this cesspool of pseudo-leftists commit. Jyoti Brar and the Communist Party of Great Britain Marxist-Leninists have been on the forefront of struggling for the rights of working people in the United Kingdom. Furthermore, they have been on the forefront of opposing imperialism. Jyoti has traveled to Palestine to stand with the Palestinian people. Jyoti traveled to Libya to offer support to the people of Libya as they built socialism on the African continent in the face of sanctions and attacks from the United States. The Communist Party of Great Britain Marxist-Leninist and Jyoti Brar beat the drum very loudly that socialism is an alternative to capitalism, and that the banks, factories, and industries can be organized to serve public good and not profits. Is it possible that great revolutionary activists who do great, important, amazing work to oppose capitalism and imperialism can also make mistakes? Yes, it is, but not according to Mr. Thought Slime. If you say one thing that he disagrees with, not about human rights, but rather about ideology, you're a nazbol, that's what he referred to me as, and not only are you wrong, but you deserve to be beaten up. That's basically what he's arguing here. He would have myself, someone who has been very outspoken in opposing all forms of oppression. He would have Jyoti Brar, a prominent leader of communist activists and a woman of color in the United Kingdom, attacked as red browns and nazbols because we apparently...
Now, this is, I guess, a new thing. This is what we would call a straw slime. Yeah, a straw slime. Let's go straw slime, okay? Well, we'll go straw slime. Did Thought Slime at any point in this video say, I would like you to go beat up this man, or I would like you to go beat up Jyoti Brar? No. he did not. In no way. All right. There's no that, I mean, that is by definition a straw slime. He's not asking for that. If anything, by the way, and he didn't really include you. He said you know nazbol ghoul, and again that's because you have been featured in videos speaking at nazbol conferences with one of the founding organizers of the nazbol, the National Bolshevik Party. So there's that aspect of it, but he's not asking for any violence. And if anything, I'm sure he would prefer, and it would be wonderful if, you know how in the start of this video you said that you have learned nothing, that you have no idea one way or the other what your stance is on this issue. That I just don't know. I have no idea. All right, they'd probably he'd prefer if you just learned. And if you learned and recanted, he does not want violence. He does not want you to get beat up. He doesn't even want to cancel you. I'm sure he would prefer if you just decided to learn about any of this. Like, take these topics on. Do some research.
Apparently aren't on board with him, not about the human rights of transgender people, but about an ideological question of which he has a very specific view.
You keep saying that.
Joti Brar, like myself, is a communist. However, this understanding that I have that sometimes people can take very good progressive views on some issues while being problematic and very wrong on others doesn't simply apply to communists. I have been widely attacked because I will defend and uphold the role played by the black minister Louis Farrakhan.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, chat. There's a lot of people he could have invoked, all right? Especially if he's trying to grab, I don't know, the moral high ground here. There's a lot of individuals who he could have invoked instead. What about Malcolm X? What about even the liberal favorite MLK, who was in fact a socialist as well? Very prominent figures, you know, if he wants to grab people from the black community in the United States and talk about their contribution to leftism. But he chose Farrakhan. And again, could be a particular reason.
Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam is civil rights and black community empowerment demonstrations in the entire history of the country. Minister Louis Farrakhan's organization, the Nation of Islam, is in communities, helping people to get off drugs, serving prisoners, serving low-income people, providing services. Minister Louis Farrakhan is anti-imperialist, and he always makes the point of linking the struggle for black freedom in the United States with the struggle of people around the world against U.S. imperialism. And I think that despite the problematic things that Minister Louis Farrakhan says and believes, he plays a very dynamic and important role. And let me add that in 2011, when NATO bombs were falling and Libya faced a bombing and an onslaught at the hands of U.S. imperialism, the Trotskyites were cheering for that intervention. Why? Oh, Gaddafi's a dictator. Gaddafi's a Stalinist. Gaddafi's an imperialist. But here...
I don't think he's real anymore. I think he has to be a cartoon character. This can't be accurate. But let's read a couple of quotes from his prophet, okay? You and I are going to have to learn to distinguish between righteous Jew and satanic Jews who have infected the whole world with poison and deceit. But when you've got revelation that came to you from God through all these prophets, then that's your test, because if you use God's truth to make you wiser and you use it for others to promote evil, then you should be promoting good, then you're no longer a Jew. That's why the scripture says, I will make those who say they are Jews. This is why Revelation 2 and 9, who say they are Jews but they are not, will make them the synagogue of Satan. When you want something in this world, the Jew holds the door. Satan is going down. Farrakhan has pulled the cover over your eyes of the satanic Jew, and I'm here to make sure that your time is up. Your world is shining through. You good Jews better separate, because the satanic ones will take you to hell with them, because that's where they're headed. The Jews were responsible for all the filth and degenerate behavior that Hollywood is putting out, turning men into women and women into men. Almost seems like, I don't know, there might be some overlap here. There are those who call themselves Jews, who are not really Jews, but are in fact Satan. You should learn to call them by their real name, Satan. You're coming face to face with Satan, the arch deceiver, the enemy of God, and the enemy of the righteous.
small handful of rich ghouls owns most of the money and we'll all die of starvation and exposure if we don't get some of it, even though we're producing more than we need and throwing away almost half of everything at a time when that overproduction is poised to make our planet uninhabitable, just so that the already unfathomably rich ghouls can have a computer readout that says that their wealth increased by 0.0001%, and the only way that you can get the means of your survival is by throwing yourself into perpetual and worsening exploitation forever? Need to worry about making a living and surviving the forthcoming end of the world, while the aforementioned handful of rich ghouls don't.
So according to Mr. Thought Slime, the problem with capitalism isn't that in the pursuit of profits, capitalists are organizing the economy irrationally, and that even though the levels of productivity are rising, people are getting further and further into poverty. The problem with capitalism is that there's just too many resources being used. There's too many people in the world. We all have too much stuff. We're overproducing, as he put it, and people are just too comfortable, and they're consuming too much.
Now I understand why he films this in a bunker. Now, Mr. Thought Slime, I just want you to know, I'm fully aware, all right? Fully aware of what you're doing here. And what you're trying to do.
That's not Marxism. That's called Malthusianism. And Malthusianism is an idea that Karl Marx thoroughly refuted. Mr. Thought Slime should read Theories of Surplus Value and read how Karl Marx completely refuted this ideology that there are limited resources in the world and that we're headed towards some kind of apocalypse unless we can drastically reduce the human population and get rid of useless eaters. The ideology of Malthusianism is an ideology that was used by the British Empire to murder millions of people all over the world, in India, in Africa, in Ireland, and many other places. Marxists and socialists do not believe the problem with capitalism is that it allows people to consume too much and breed too much. That's not what Marxists have ever espoused. Not anywhere in the writing.
But it was what Thought Slime espoused, right? That's exactly what Thought Slime was talking about. I didn't know that, though. Thought Slime the Malthusiast. Interesting.
Of Karl Marx, will you ever find the phrase limited resources, or will you ever hear predictions of an ecological disaster unless the human race stops consuming and we reduce the human population? Those are racist Malthusian propaganda points that have nothing to do with Marxism.
So I don't know if he doesn't understand English or he was just completely skirting over what Thought Slime had said, but what Thought Slime was referring to was the fact that in our current capitalist system, we overproduce food. We overproduce food by almost twice as much as we consume because, again, we have financial incentives to do so. We have huge subsidies to the farming markets, for example, things of this nature. And so because of this, because of the way the system works, we're perpetually producing more food than we eat, even though we don't need to. While people are starving, almost 1/7, I believe, of the planet is hungry or starving at some point. And at the same time, while all this is happening, we're not redistributing any of these goods and services while we're accelerating ourselves towards this ecological disaster, which is climate change. That's what he was referring to. You're picking this up, and now you're going way off into the world of eugenics with it.
Marxism believes that if the banks, factories, and industries can be operated to serve public good and not profits, and if human reason and creativity, not the irrational pursuit of profits, can be placed in command of economic activity, the human race can go far beyond and begin producing a lot more and using resources in a much more rational way. It's only because of capitalism that the outdated, outmoded, irrational, inefficient mode of fossil fuel-based economy still exists. We need to get out of petroleum and natural gas as the basis for running our global economy. We need higher forms of energy, like perhaps fusion. We need to expand the space program. We need a more efficient way of raising people out of poverty and producing the energy needed for life. And if we don't do it soon, there will be some ecological problems. But the issue at hand is not that human beings are consuming too much. It's rather that the economy is organized in an...
This is neat. You just said the same thing that Thought Slime said, all over again. So, redundancy.
irrational way, because watching this video forces me to ask some more questions about Mr. Thought Slime, his beliefs, and his motivations. Take a look at this part.
Me and a black dude might be equally exploited working at a Burger King together. Say you're working at Burger King. Your coworker comes to you because they know you're a big-time lefto, big-time workers' rights kind of person, and they're like, hey, I think I might be trans, and I want to start to transition, but I'm really afraid that if I do, I'll lose my job.
Burger King. Now, I really doubt that Mr. Thought Slime has ever worked in fast food. However, I did work in fast food when I was a college student. One summer, during my college years, I actually worked at a sandwich shop that was fast food in the Cleveland area near the college I went to. And I'll tell you, that was a miserable job. I mean, they were constantly driving you faster to make those
Thought Slime has 3 separate videos on this topic. Three separate videos in which he goes in depth talking about his shitty fast food jobs. 3 different videos. I'm sorry that your nondescript sandwich chain franchise that you won't name by name for some reason, because you know there's a lot of different sandwich franchises you could name. You could have even given a fake one like Slubway, you know. Then there you go. I did it for you. I'm helping you out. And what is this? What is this, like, fucking, you know, the one true leftist, the no true Scotsman fallacy going on right now? Yes, well, only I have truly worked in fast food. He can't even pronounce Burger King. So checkmate. Maybe just watch one other video by him. It's kind of a shtick. He does silly things.
Sandwiches and churn out those orders pace. And I'll tell you one thing. The last thing that I ever did when I was working, assembling hamburgers and running the fryer at a fast food place, was to talk to my coworkers about their gender identity. We weren't sitting there and having group therapy and talking about discrimination or how we felt about our gender identities. We were being driven to work harder and harder and harder. He seemed...
In that one summer in college, when I had a job at a nondescript fast food sandwich restaurant. So checkmate Thought Slime, who's worked in fast food his whole life. Motherfucker, I've worked in fucking franchises and fast food more than you. I worked at a movie theater for years. Like, the biggest movie theater chain in Canada. Yeah, it fucking sucks. It's the worst. You cannot truly understand class struggle until you yourself have worked at a nondescript sandwich restaurant for one summer in college.
Seems a coward that by standing up and organizing resistance against the billionaire banker ruling class that controls the world, and fighting back by fighting to establish a government of action that fights for the world.
That's the first one. Chat. Billionaire banking ruling class. Just remember, how many times will he say that?
Working class, and would force the economy to serve the people and not simply operate in the interests of profits for private corporations. By doing that, all workers can advance. Working class people taken in by bigotry and hate need to understand that that bigotry and hate serves the billionaires and bankers, and that solidarity is the way out. But you can't do that, according to Mr. Thought Slime.
And it's a problem. You take a variety of factors and reduce it down to simply class. And sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes it's a useful shorthand. But it may have the unintended, or in some cases, very much intended, side effect of erasing or making apologetics for someone else's oppression.
See, according to this pseudo-leftist milieu, if you talk about working people, if you talk about class struggle, if you rant against the billionaires and bankers and monopolists that rule the world, you're a fascist. According to them, working class is a fascist buzzword. According to them, working families is somehow a discriminatory phrase. And
so many straw slimes. Like this, just straw slimes all over the place right now.
Any appeal to people on the basis of advancing their living conditions and building a better life, doing that is unacceptable in their worldview. For them, socialism is not about working people casting off their bigoted ideas, standing arm in arm, fighting back against the billionaires and bosses, seizing control of the means of production, and reorganizing society so that growth is unlimited and all poverty can be eradicated. Oh no. For them, socialism is about the individuality of artists and middle-class intellectuals, and them standing up against the mob of inferior rabble who don't go to NYU to learn about these abstract gender theories that you must immediately agree with, or else you're the equivalent of Adolf Hitler. I think the best way to understand the difference between this individual and myself is simply to look at the name that he gave himself, Thought Slime, and the image in the background of his video. Mr. Thought Slime has this image of slime, green, gross slime, pouring out of a sewer behind him the whole time he is speaking. I don't find that appealing. I don't enjoy looking at gross, mucus-like looking slime, and I'm not particularly interested in hearing what someone says if they name themselves after something that I don't particularly like looking at. But you see,
he's not a real person. That's why I said he's a cartoon character. He can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be true. Just, I've never enjoyed slime. My whole life, and I don't know why anyone would, like, what if he called himself Thought Poo? Alright? I wouldn't like him anymore. If it was Thought Poo, I wouldn't care for it, I'm not on board. I do not like slime, and I have no place for it in my life.
who worked in factories. Working people are trying to get rid of slime. They're trying to get rid of dirt. They don't like the fact that, you know, the infrastructure of the United States is falling apart, that our roads and bridges are
Got him. Thought Slime imperialist confirmed. Thought Slime, bourgeoisie parasite. Fucking bourgeois parasite Thought Slime. Holy fuck. Working people work actively to remove slime, and yet you call yourself slime. Oh, and yet you live in a sewer.
working people in big numbers, that there's
It's the slime.
hopelessness and despair among working people, that so much poverty is taking place. They don't like that. Working people want to get to a better life. They want things to be nicer. They want things to be more hopeful, more secure, more stable, and yes, more
Less
clean.
slimy. More
But
clean. Less
middle-class
slimy.
intellectuals have another view. They think that dirty things and abstract expressionist art is edgy and exciting. And that is the difference. Folks, there's a reason that the CIA, at the same time, it was covertly funding Trotskyites and anti-communist leftists with its Congress for Cultural Freedom program, also covertly funded the work of Jackson Pollock and tried to marginalize the school of art known as social realism.
Just the gift that keeps on giving, you know, just the gift that keeps on giving, and we're here. We're into full on degeneracy. He likes things that are clean. Remember that, okay? He's a clean man. He does not like slime. All right, and that of course is part of the bourgeois. All right, it is the bourgeois parasites that enjoy such things, but not him. All right, he enjoys fineries and non-degeneracy.
Of gender and what it really means. The danger is solidarity. The danger is populism. The danger is working people coming together, putting aside racism, sexism, and all bigoted ideas and all forms of oppression, standing arm in arm and fighting back. And if you look all over the world, so many countries have broken free from capitalism. And when they've done it, they haven't tried to make their countries more slimy and gross. They haven't put up paintings of abstract art and Jackson Pollock. Instead, they have built some of the most beautiful cities, some of the most beautiful subway systems, the most beautiful gardens.
God. I can't.
You've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Working people are trying to get out of the slime. They're trying to get out of the cycle of destruction that capitalism has created. But international bankers beat down developing countries.
Oh, sorry. Q on point. International bankers. How long did we go last time we heard one? There it is. Let's rewind this a little bit.
But rather, there's win-win cooperation, where countries become wealthier by trading with each other.
Win-win cooperation where countries become wealthier while trading with each other.
And we no longer have a predatory system where big international bankers beat down developing countries. That's what socialism has really always been about. And
What? Like, that's why, like, I genuinely think this has to be trolling. This can't be a real human being, all right? This like, is this the leftist QAnon? I don't entirely know.
the Baathist Arab socialist countries of the Middle East, other countries around the world, that's what socialism has been about. It's been about making the world cleaner and nicer and more stable, bringing people together.
Making the world cleaner? Purging the earth from the international bankers? The bankers? Of course, the bankers. Don't forget about the bankers. The bankers. We gotta watch out for those bankers.
We begin our lecture.
He's uploading videos of Louis Farrakhan. Fucking noted anti-Semite. Noted anti-Semite. You're uploading videos of him to your YouTube channel. What are you doing? Like, how many whistles do we need? Like, these are like fucking full-on megaphones. The international bankers, the banking conglomerate. And let me just tell you about the bankers. The bankers, the international bankers. And by the way, I'm just going to upload a video right now of my hero, personal savior, Louis Farrakhan. Let's get him up here. And then, yeah, this is good. Here we go. This is great. ADL, they have so many, like, look at, these are all the anti-Semitic quotes. I'm still scrolling, no end in sight. Nope, yep, no, yeah, he's got quite a few views on the Jewish people. Look at this, wow, fantastic, and we're still going. Oh, nice, we finally reached the end. God don't like men coming to men with lust in their hearts like you should go to a female. If you think the kingdom of God is being filled up with that kind of degenerate crap, you're out of your damn mind. Oh, degenerate. That was a word that we heard, right? That was a word we heard from our good friend Caleb. Degeneracy. Nice.
To our monarch, Thomas Bone, you are the light that guides our path. To our lords, I'm Raph, Stephen, Ninetails Cosmic Fox, and Hans Josephine, we bow meekly for your pleasure. To our knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Dylan Byth, Alexander Thaler, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Clement Schutzkopf, Skybear Games, Moss Beast, Political Puppy, Alan R., Andreas Chitoro, Good Poon Hates Cops, that's solid poon then, we salute you. And to all our merchants and farmers, you have our undying loyalty and love.